Amen.
Amen.
So the last few classes,
V posledných pár hodinách
we've been talking about the relationship of the 1918 Spanish flu
sme hovorili o vzťahu z 1918. španielskej chrypky
and its connection to
a
COVID-19.
jeho prepojenia s COVID-19.
By the way, do we all know what COVID stands for?
Inak viete, čo znamená slovo COVID?
Yes.
Je to meno tej
So
choroby.
19 is 2019.
19 je to z roku
Three words.
2019.
Good. That's what you said.
Dobre. Koronavírus. Choroba,
Corona.
koronavírus. Koronavírus.
Disease.
Choroba.
Yeah. Last one's not so obvious.
To posledné nie je až
That's
také
what you said.
zrejme.
Yeah. I'm not saying there isn't a time calculation to be made,
Ja nevravím, že sa nemá robiť časový výpočet,
but it's not one that Elder Tess gave to us.
ale nie je to to, čo nám dala sestra Tess.
She relied more upon Alpha and Omega,
Ona viacej sa pozerá na alfa a omega princíp.
beginning and end.
Začiatok a koniec.
She's already established that the First World War is a prelude or a type of the Third.
My už vieme, že Prvá svetová vojna je takým predobrazom na tú tretiu,
which is separate but connected to a triple application.
čo je oddelené, ale prepojené s tou trojitou aplikáciou.
Triple application 1 plus 2 equals 3.
Trojitá aplikácia 1 plus 2 rovná sa 3.
Hopefully that's straightforward.
Dúfam, že to je jasné.
But just the simple consideration of an essay or a dissertation, a paper,
A len také jednoduché zváženie vlastne toho, ako keby
the introduction
sme niečo písali,
is the
tak
same as the
ten
conclusion.
úvod a záver je to isté.
They really should be saying the same thing.
Úvod a záver nám hovoria to isté.
The First World War should be the third.
Prvá svetová vojna by mala byť tou treťou.
But we've just taken a very narrow portion of that
My
history
sme zobrali len taký úzky pohľad na tie dejiny
and we've taken a very brief look at the relationship between two countries and a person.
a veľmi sme sa tak zhruba pozreli na dve krajiny a človeka.
Germany, Russia, Lenin.
Nemecko, Rusko a Lenin.
And we saw how those three entities, those, I don't know what to call them, not people, but just call them entities, parallel three entities in our history.
A videli sme, ako tieto tri zložky sú v paralele s tými zložkami v našej dobe.
The United States, Russia, and President Donald Trump.
Spojené štáty, Rusko a prezident Donald Trump.
There are a number of things that we can take from this study.
Niekoľko vecí, ktoré si môžeme zobrať z tohto štúdia.
One of the points that I found interesting
Jeden z bodov, ktoré ja si myslím, že sú zaujímavé,
is that when you look at this person,
je, že keď sa pozrieme na tohto človeka,
he's more complicated than it appears at first sight.
je to komplikovanejšie, ako sa na prvý pohľad zdá.
So I asked yesterday if he was good or
Včera
bad,
som sa pýtal, či je zlý alebo dobrý.
and I think I received undue criticism of that question. Unfair.
A myslím si, že som dostal kritiku za tú otázku, takú neférovú.
Because I think in the context of that discussion, it seemed at least clear to me that he was a good person.
Lebo v kontexte tej diskusie mne sa zdalo také jasné, že on je ako dobrá postava.
And what I worry about,
To, čo sa bojím,
all of us are susceptible to this,
všetci sme voči tomuto není
is
imunní,
that we become conditioned.
je, že to je...
We have these preconceived ideas
Máme také predpojaté názory
of what is right and what is wrong.
toho, čo je správne a nesprávne.
And what causes this preconditioning?
A čo to
This mindset.
Čo to spôsobuje tento spôsob myslenia?
So it's a question to you, but it will be rhetorical. I'll answer it.
Je to retorická otázka, ja ju zodpoviem.
I think we fall into the trap or the ditch of looking at things morally.
Myslím, že stále padáme do tej takej pasce, že pozeráme na veci morálne.
If you're opposed to Donald Trump, if you're on that side of the fence,
Ak ste proti Donaldovi Trumpovi, ste na tej strane,
you can look at him and see he's just an unpleasant person.
môžete sa na ňo pozrieť a vidieť, že je to nepríjemný človek.
If you're his daughter, you can't see any of that evil.
Ak ste jeho dcérou, nič z toho zlého nevidíte.
They'll say that they see a different side of that man.
Oni vidia inú stranu toho človeka.
And we just brush that away.
A to
And what I'm
ako
saying
keby
is
zmetieme preč. To, čo ja hovorím,
that entering into that realm, into that mindset is dangerous.
je, že vôbec pohybovať sa v tomto
I'm just saying into that mindset.
spôsobe myslenia je nebezpečné.
And the mindset that I'm referring to
A to myslenie, o ktorom hovorím,
is the moral mindset.
je morálna myseľ.
At all costs we must resist.
Tomuto za každú cenu musíme sa vzoprieť. Postaviť na odpor.
We must resist judging this man's morality.
Musíme odolať tomu, aby sme posudzovali jeho morálku.
After all,
Potom
it's all a game.
je to jedna celá hra.
We might find it offensive to call it a game.
Možno to nás akože poburuje, keď sa to nazýva, že je to hra.
So we'll call it something else.
Nazveme to inak.
What would we call it if
Ako
we
by
don't
sme
want
to
to call it a
nazvali?
game?
Keď nie hra.
A play? Yeah. Theatrical performance. And if it's a theatrical performance,
Ako také nejaké divadlo. Ak je to
what do we
divadlo,
call that? Not quite proxy. I was thinking of parable.
ja by som povedal, že je to
It's all a
podobenstvo.
parable.
Je to celé podobenstvo.
And if we can train ourselves to think this way,
Ak dokážeme sami seba vycvičiť, aby sme takto rozmýšľali,
we can save ourselves two things.
môžeme sami seba uchrániť dvoch vecí.
We can save ourselves from making mistakes,
Z toho, aby sme urobili nejaké chyby
and we can save ourselves a lot of heartache.
a takej vnútornej bolesti.
We become too emotionally attached to the subject.
My tie témy sa k ním príliš emocionálne tak prilneme.
In a room like this, we'd all say, "Oh, he's bad."
A v tejto miestnosti všetci by sme povedali, že on je zlý.
Things that he said, the things that he's
To,
done.
čo on robí, ako rozpráva.
If you're of the wrong skin color, he won't rent a room to you.
Ak máte nesprávnu farbu kože, on vám ani neprenajme izbu.
If you're a woman, he'll grab you.
Ak ste ženou, on vás
You
zdrapne.
find that offensive.
To je také útočné.
And we put him into a box.
Máme ho v tejto škatulke,
This box of a bad person.
že on je zlým človekom.
So when I ask the question, is he good?
Keď som sa spýtal, či je dobrý,
Your go-to answer, your reflex answer would be, of course he can't be good.
taká reflexná odpoveď je, že nie je dobrý.
Yeah. But he's a
Samozrejme, že nie.
patriot. Like Washington.
Je.
Would we say Washington was good or bad?
A čo povieme o Washingtone? Washington je
No one would ever call him bad.
dobrý alebo zlý. Nikto by ho nenazval
Why?
zlým. Prečo?
Why would we not call him bad?
Prečo by sme Washington nenazvali zlým?
If you were a red coat, you would.
Ak ste...
If you just a citizen of the UK, of England, you would say he's evil.
Ak ste z Anglicka, povedali by ste, že je zlý? Teraz neviem.
Treasonous, deserving of death.
Že by zaslúžil by si
Treason goes
smrť,
against the king.
lebo ide proti kráľovi.
Rebellion.
A on hovorí nie o Washingtone štáte, ale o Georgeovi Washingtonovi. Ak sme Angličania, povedali by
So
sme,
if I'd asked
že je
that
zlý.
question, no one would have said he's bad. Why would no one have said that?
Ale nikto by na Washingtona nepovedal, že je zlý. Prečo?
And yet there's confusion when it comes to Donald Trump because he had a mixed response.
Ale keď sa to týka Donalda Trumpa, tak sme zmetení.
Everyone needs to think about this for themselves, but I'm suggesting it's because we're too close. It's become too personal.
Musíme si to každý zodpovedať sami, ale ja si myslím, že je to preto, lebo sa nám to stalo príliš osobným.
And herein lies the problem.
A tu je problém.
When I say herein, what is the problem?
Čo je ten problém?
Because we are two people.
Sme dvoma ľuďmi.
We have two parts to play.
Zohrávame dve role.
Two parts. Observers.
My sme sledovatelia.
Being tested.
You
So
said
we-
a play.
Huh? A part?
You said a play.
Yeah.
So we're observers and we're
Actors.
A zároveň sme čím?
and we have
Zároveň sme
to
hercami.
make sure in a question, in a study, that we know what part we're playing.
A musíme vedieť v každej štúdii a otázke, ktorú rolu
And it
hráme.
can switch in a second.
A musíme vedieť premeniť tú rolu.
Even in a study, it can go from one to
Aj v
another.
jednej štúdii môžeme ísť z jednej role do druhej.
You have to have the mental agility
Musíme mať takú mentálnu schopnosť,
to be an observer and an actor.
aby sme vedeli veci sledovať a zároveň aj v nich zohrávať rolu.
How would you know which part to take?
A ako vieme, ktorú rolu máme brať?
Which rule? Choice of 14. But you know, it's only going to be a choice of 2.
Máme dve veci na výber.
So I've got a limited capacity. I've got a limited knowledge of all 14.
Ktoré,
So it's 50-50.
ktoré pravidlo je to?
Which rule? What the choices, Sister Catherine?
Čo máme na výber?
Good? Which rule?
Prvé a piaté pravidlo Millera.
Is it die?
Then it's one.
Good.
Je to prvé.
Rule
Prvé
1.
pravidlo.
Find the most important word.
Nájdite to najdôležitejšie slovo.
Find the point of the study.
Zistite, aká je pointa štúdia
And then you'll know.
a potom budete vedieť,
What will you know then?
čo budete vedieť. Ktorú rolu zohrávame.
Which role you will play, the observer or the
Či sme
actor.
pozorovateľom alebo hercom.
Everybody okay with that?
Ak sme s týmto ak súhlasíme,
So we had some homework.
mali sme nejakú domácu úlohu.
What was the homework that we had?
Čo to bolo na domácu úlohu?
2 homeworks, I think.
Myslím, že boli 2.
Good. The Baltic States
Baltské štáty
and
a
sorry? Baltic States and the Central
a
Powers.
centrálne moci.
The context of World War
V
One.
kontexte prvej svetovej vojny.
Go ahead. Baltic States.
Baltské
This will
štáty.
be a bit of an iteration because everyone's going to do their own little part. So you begin for us.
Okay, so there are Estonia.
Before you carry on,
Predtým, ako
so
budeš
that the people
pokračovať,
online and people who are listening know, what are you reading from?
z čoho
What is your
čítaš
source?
teraz?
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. No, it's not, I'm
Z
just,
Wikipedie.
that's fine. Wikipedia. So sorry, you said?
Estonia,
Takže Baltské štáty boli
Forgive
Estónsko,
my spelling.
oh, you're right. Levita?
Spell that.
L-A-V-I-T-A.
Fú, to neviem, čo
I'm
je
going to spell the
Lavita.
next one.
Okay.
Litvási.
L-I-T-H-U-A-N-I-A.
So I know this is
Probably, yes.
Lithuania. I know that one.
No tak
Lithuania. Don't worry.
to Lavita neviem,
It's the
čo
only one I
je.
know.
That's all I found.
That's all? Okay. Sorry? Oh,
It's LAT.
okay. So that's why I was wondering what that was. Just double check. So that we make it Latvia. Oh, were you just going from your notes? You were just reading?
Well, I wrote it down.
Okay, you were reading from what you wrote down. Good. That's fine. So we think it's Latvia.
My si myslíme, že je to Latvia ako asi Litva, ale potom neviem, čo je Litvánia.
Latvia. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania.
Estonsko,
Double check that for us.
Litva a
Just
ešte
found-
niečo.
you found
Yeah,
it?
I spelled it wrong.
Good? Okay, Latvia.
As far
Brother
as
Jim?
the Baltic states?
Yeah. Tell me what you know about the Baltic states.
Well, I know they're
You agree with all of that?
yeah,
Okay.
they're on the Baltic.
See?
So tell us what the Baltic means.
Čo
What is
znamená,
the
že sú to
Baltic?
Baltské štáty?
It's a sea,
So the Baltic is a sea.
To,
We'll go with
to
that.
je Baltské more.
and it's north of Denmark and it's south of Finland. Fin-
I'm not even attempt to draw a map of that. So
Teraz neviem,
Finland is
čo vravel.
here,
Tu je Fínsko,
and this would be the rest of Europe.
toto je zbytok Európy,
Denmark would be here,
Dánsko je tu,
and so this would be Finnmark.
to je
No,
Fínsko,
Finland. Sorry, Finland. And this would be Denmark,
to je
and the
Dánsko.
Baltic would be where?
A Baltské more kde? Medzi nimi.
Just maybe run it down to the upper right-hand corner of that.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. So this would be the Baltic.
Toto je Baltské more.
And just tell us what's here.
A čo je tu?
Either Poland,
Poland.
I think.
Poľsko.
So we've got, Europe does not look like this.
Vieme, Európa takto
Connected some
nevyzerá.
way. Finland, Denmark, Poland, and this is the Baltic
Fínsko,
Sea.
Dánsko, Poľsko a Baltské
Is that
štáty.
reasonable? No. You see her face. What kind of map is that?
Dobre, viem,
By the way, I
to
do live in
nevyzerá na
Europe.
mape.
You can believe that. Okay, so it's a sea. This is the Baltic Sea.
Baltské more.
Carry on. Oh, sorry? No? Carry on.
There's three small countries.
Gibt es also 3 kleine Länder?
3 small countries.
And they line up around that sea that you have there.
Und die liegen hier an diesem Meer.
Where would they lie?
Wo liegen die
From-
Fidschi?
Here?
No, they're up above Poland. They're right.
Here?
Yeah, there's 3 of them. Right.
Tu by boli tie Baltské štáty.
Da sind sie, diese 3.
Yeah.
3 small countries.
3 malé
On
krajiny.
the coast?
Yes.
3 coastal countries, and their names are?
Latvia,
A
Estonia,
nazývajú sa
These three?
Estonia, and Lithuania. Those 3.
tie 3 Baltské štáty.
So it's 3
Asi
countries
Lotyšsko bolo to jedno z
on
toho.
the coast of the Baltic Sea.
Right.
Tie sú na pobreží Baltského mora.
Am Meer des Baltischen Meeres liegen.
That's the Baltic states.
Tie Baltské štáty.
And then they border Russia on the back side.
Tie vlastne hraničia s Ruskom.
Grenzt dann Russland an.
Anything else to add?
Ešte niečo?
Are we just talking about the Baltic states right now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Okay. We're just doing the Baltic states. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. It's 3 countries that have 3 coastal countries that border the Baltic Sea, which is in, I guess that would be the northeast of Europe.
To je severovýchod Európy, vlastne tie 3 malé štáty, čo sú na hranici toho Baltského mora.
Sister Catherine, anything you want to add?
They're by Belarus.
Belarus?
Oh, yes.
Ešte je tam
Belarus is
Bielorusko.
down here. Can you spell it? E-R-U-S? Oh,
RUS.
Belarus. And the reason we're interested in Belarus
Dôvod, prečo nás zaujíma Bielorusko,
is because
je,
Treaty took place.
Ist, weil dort dieser Friedensvertrag stand.
it was never going to be that easy.
Das ist ganz so einfach.
It's treaty.
Das war dieser
The Brestless.
Friedensvertrag von
Will help.
Brestless.
I do the same thing. How do you say the second word, Brother Jim?
I'm not, I get it right sometimes and other times it's Brest with tops.
So if you remember the first bit, the lit, the rest of it kind of falls into places.
Yeah.
Brest Litov, or I don't say the last bit quite correct because it's got some
SK at the end.
yeah. Okay, so we've added
kvôli
where
tomu
Belarus
Brest
is.
Litovsk.
This is
Nás
where the
zaujíma,
treaty was signed in
Bielorusko.
Brest Litov.
Tam bola podpísaná tá dohoda.
wurde der Vertrag unterschrieben in Brest-Litovsk.
Anything else?
Gibt's noch was?
If there is, come back. Sister Sue Ellen,
Yes.
Suelen?
anything to add or to clarify besides my bad map work?
Ešte niečo, čo by sme mohli ujasniť? Ospravedlňujem sa za túto mapu.
Well, not really about the geography of it, but I learned something about the characteristics of that
Go ahead.
area.
Takže ku geografii nemám nič, ale nejaké vlastnosti toho by som
With
povedala.
respect to the Baltic states, what did you
I
learn?
think this applies to them, that they had, most of the coal mines were over there, that from Russia.
Most of the Russian coal mines were in these countries.
Uh-huh.
Coal mines, neviem čo sú, že v týchto krajinách boli, neviem, či
Like
bane,
90%
alebo...
of them. And there were like 25% of their population was in there.
25% populácie,
Uh-huh.
ruskej populácie tam bolo? Teraz nerozumiem.
You said 90%?
Uh-huh.
Nine, 25% of the people, 90%, I'm going to call it energy.
Takže nachádzalo sa tam 90%, je to ako zdroj energií a 25% ľudí z Ruska tam vlastne žilo.
Do you know what that means in this study, or you just have a hunch that it could have it?
Vieš, čo to v tejto štúdii
I think
znamená,
that
alebo len
means
tak máš pocit, že je to
That
dôležité?
it wasn't just the land that they wanted the benefits that would be to their economy.
To nie je, že oni chceli iba nejaké územie, oni chceli územie, ktoré by malo užitok pre ich ekonomiku.
So that it was, a hardship on Russia, but I mean, it wasn't so much that it would be a hardship on Russia, although that probably might have played a part, but that they could take, part of their economy that would be benefit to, the Central Powers or to Germany.
Oni by vlastne zobrali
Sure.
to srdce
So
ich
I asked,
ekonomiky a to by bolo
she's observed
užitočné pre tie
25%
centrálne
of
moci.
Russia, 90% of, she said coal, I changed it into energy.
Ona vravela, že 90%, a teraz nerozumiem čo, sa tam nachádza, on to zmenil na názov energiu.
My question was, does she have any comment to make upon that except to state it as a fact?
A ja som sa pýtala, či má k tomu nejaký komentár, alebo nám to len dáva ako fakt.
And she said,
A povedala,
perhaps the reason why the Central Powers want these countries
možno dôvod, prečo centrálne moci chcú práve tieto krajiny,
is because of the energy,
je kvôli tým energetickým
the
zdrojom.
coal.
Neviem, čo je coal.
So if that were the case,
Ak by to tak bolo,
then we'd have to consider that in the application that we make today.
To by sme-
Something about energy.
to by sme museli potom zvážiť v tej aplikácii, ktorú máme dnes, že to má niečo s energiou.
What we'd want to do,
To, čo by sme chceli urobiť,
because she said 90% coal.
90%
So if this is the energy
coal, neviem,
source
čo je coal.
of Russia,
Ak toto je energetický zdroj Ruska,
what would you want to find out?
čo by sme chceli zistiť?
How much is the coal? So that would, if you could show
Že
that
koľko je ten
this is Russia's,
coal, čo neviem
this is the
preložiť,
pie chart of Russia. So the title would be
ten nadpis by bol
Russian energy
Ruská energetika,
supply.
alebo
or
energetické zdroje.
So I don't know. They might have. I don't want to put thoughts in people's mind, but I guess I will.
Teraz ja nechcem nejaké zanechávať veci v mysliach ľudí.
10%
Napríklad 10%
wood.
dreva.
I'm trying to think.
Aha, kol je
1918.
uhlie. Pardon. Takže zdroje uhlia.
Where
Uholné
do people
báne
get-
to boli.
Say, I don't know. Well, say 20% oil.
To teraz len robím taký diagram, akože 10%
think they must have
dreva,
a northern industry,
20%
perhaps.
ropy.
Popped in my head that they use whale oil a lot for lamps and things like that?
Yes.
Gerade in meinen Sinn kam, wo er von
Yes.
Sie haben Walöl oder Trampeln, um ihre Lampen zu
Neviem.
Are you checking for us? Okay, you said something. Peat. Peat is it's a soil. Pe. Yeah, it's a soil that burns. It's a form of wood.
Potom je tu niečo, čo zase
put
neviem
peat down.
preložiť.
So I'm gonna say
Neviem.
70%.
Ich sage jetzt einfach mal
Že on povedal, že je to nejaká
coal.
zem, ktorá...
Shouldn't really do that because it's
Horí.
total guesswork.
Rašelina. Okay.
Just that you don't have many options.
Nemáme nejak veľa
So to take
možností.
90% of their coal
70%
industry
je uhlie. A keď vezmeme 90%
is the major source, so is a major component of their energy source.
uhlia a je to hlavný komponent ich zdroja energie,
It's not that they just like going on the beach.
to nie je o tom, že oni chcú ísť tam na pláž,
There's a reason behind
ale
it.
má to svoj dôvod.
Sorry?
Coastal areas are a way to bring in things also.
Die
Bring in
meisten-
resources.
Die meisten Küstengebiete bringen ja auch noch Ressourcen heran.
So the other thing is they're not landlocked.
Was dann ein weiterer Grund ist, dass sie nicht nur quasi auf dem Land
Len
Which has always been a problem for Belarus.
welches immer schon ein Problem
nerozumiem, čo hovoria.
So it's always good to have a coastal country so that you can escape or bring things in.
Čiže tieto krajiny vlastne nie sú vnútrozemné, majú more a to je vždy dobré v prípade potreby.
Okay, so the
úniku
energy may
alebo
be
príchodu, že
an
vlastne
important component to that
nie
history.
sú obkolesené celé krajinami, ale majú tam aj prístup mora.
Sister Kathy, I know you're doing two things now. You're looking for this, but what did you find out from your homework?
Čo si ešte zistila z domácej úlohy?
A lot that they've already said.
viel von dem, was schon gesagt wurde.
Anything
Už
new?
to bolo povedané.
Just that the people in the Baltic states were of German heritage.
A ešte som zistila, že ľudia z báltskych štátov boli Nemci pôvodom.
So, okay, so they're German,
Pôvodom sú to Nemci.
German extraction. Anyone else
Ešte niečo?
want to add anything?
Agreement, or the treaty, they ceded part of Belarus to Germany, or the
So,
Central Powers.
so I'll do the. So, we talk about the Baltic states
Hovoríme o báltskych štátoch.
were handed over from Russia to the Central Powers,
Die von Russland
Že Rusko sa ich zdalo
these three
prospech tých
countries,
centrálnych mocí.
but there was a bit more,
Ale bolo tam niečo k tomu ešte viac.
bit more than just these three countries.
Ako len tieto tri krajiny.
So,
Takže
Belarus
Bielorusko,
or parts of Belarus
alebo časti Bieloruska,
were ceded or seceded or handed over.
boli...
They were handed over from Russia to Germany. It's the same thing.
Rusko sa ich zdalo v prospech Nemecka.
So it's not just the Baltic
Nie sú
states.
to len baltské štáty.
We'll put a line here.
Dáme si takú čiaru.
So part of Belarus,
To je časť Bieloruska.
the Baltic states plus parts of Belarus.
K tomu ešte k tým baltským štátom.
So we'll just say Belarus.
Ale povieme Bielorusko.
So Belarus is handed over.
Bielorusko bolo dané, ale nie celé. Ukrajina.
The Ukraine. It's a teeny bit more. I think.
Yeah, it said there was the Oblast of the Kars Oblast.
So this was the one that was a bit complicated.
Kars. O-B-L-A-S-T.
Toto je čo?
The Kars Oblast.
Fúha, toto vôbec
So
neviem,
this
čo
is not really a
zaprajú.
country, it's an area, I
Yeah,
think.
it's because I looked up oblast and it said it's a administrative area.
Kars, C-A-R-S, O,
Okay.
O, no, sorry, K-A-R-S, Kars, O-B-L-A-S-T.
Kars, oblasť, to tiež neviem, čo je.
So as soon as we get to this now,
Keď prídeme k tomuto,
it gets a little bit more complicated because we can't just say Germany now.
je to komplikovanejšie, lebo nemôžeme povedať, že iba Nemecko.
Provinzen sind. Und jetzt wird es also etwas schwieriger, weil wir nicht einfach nur Deutschland nennen können.
Province of?
Je to
I just
provincia.
heard province. Okay, the Transcaucasus, yes. So it gets more complicated now because when you start taking all of this, you have to think of the central powers. It's not just Germany, it's too simplistic.
Keď začneme pripisovať všetky tieto ostatné časti krajín, nemôžeme tiež povedať, že iba Nemecko, sú to centrálne moci.
So there's the Baltic states
Takže sú baltské štáty
and some other parts too.
a k tomu ešte nejaké ďalšie časti, ktoré boli dané.
Anything else?
Some other parts?
Sure.
Okay, well, I know Jonathan talked about Finland. But
Yes.
actually Finland, it said, was given back prior to the treaty.
Jonathan hat ja auch
So it
von
wasn't-
Finnland gesprochen, aber Finnland was not a part of
Finland was given over back to the, I guess, Central Powers before this peace treaty, so it's not part of the peace treaty.
Fínsko bolo dané tým centrálnym mocnostňam ešte pred touto dohodou, nie v rámci
So we'll
tej
leave
dohody.
Finland out.
Takže Fínsko vynecháme.
And that Kars Oblast was given back to the Ottoman Empire.
Und dieses Oblast
A tá oblasť Kars bola daná
wurden dem Osmanischen Reich.
Osmanskej
So that's
ríši.
why I'm saying when you start listing them out,
Preto som hovoril, keď ich začneme menovať,
Diese Staaten
you
aufzulisten,
can't just think Germany any longer
tak už nemôžeme len povedať, že Nemecko,
Deutschland denken.
because Germany doesn't get everything.
lebo Nemecko nedostalo všetko z tých.
Alle.
Also, it said about the Ukraine that it was given independence.
Tiež Ukrajine bola daná
Ukraine wurde
nezávislosť.
auch gesagt, dass sie Unabhängigkeit bekommen haben.
Sounds like they were self-governing or something.
Es hört sich so an, als ob sie sich nicht selbst regieren können.
Sister Suellen,
Suelen,
you were going to say something?
chceš niečo
No,
povedať?
I was just going to say the thing about that they already had Finland.
Okay.
Ich wollte nur auf
Ja som
Before
chcela
the
povedať, že to Fínsko
treaty.
už mali.
Finnland schon vor dem Friedensvertrag übergeben wurde.
Did you want to say something in detail or just that statement?
That was it.
Okay. So we'll add here
Hier
Takže sem pridáme
hinzu,
the Ukraine
Ukrajinu
Ukraine
is independent
ako nezávislú.
and this was given to, we'll call it Turkey,
Toto bolo
Ottoman
dané,
Empire.
nazvem to Turecko, Osmanskej ríši.
Actually, 2 treaties,
Ich habe
Boli dve dohody,
zwei Verträge gab.
Brest-Litovsk.
Brest-Litovsk.
One was February 9th, and that was the Central Powers and Ukraine.
Jedna bola 9. februára, to boli tie centrálne moci a Ukrajina.
Im Jahre 1918 und das war dann zwischen der Ukraine und den Zentralmächten.
And the other was March 3rd
Und der
A tá ďalšia bola 3. marca
März
between Central Powers and Russia.
medzi centrálnymi mocami a Ruskom.
Go back to the February one. You said what?
February 9th,
9. februára.
and that's when the Central Powers recognized the independence of Ukraine, Georgia, and Finland.
dort haben
Tedy tie centrálne moci uznali nezávislosť Ukrajiny, Fínska
Finland?
a ešte niečoho.
Finnland anerkannt.
Georgia.
Central Powers recognized the independence of Finland, Georgia, and
Uznali
Ukraine.
nezávislosť Fínska, Georgie a Ukrajiny.
Ukraine von Georgien und von Finnland anerkannt.
So the 3rd of March one,
Takže to 3. marca
we should include Ukraine in that.
sem by sme nemali zahrnúť Ukrajinu.
Da war die Ukraine
So we take that out.
To vezmeme.
It seems we're just talking about the March one.
Keďže hovoríme len o tom marci,
But we've put it into the February one.
dali sme to sem do februára.
Okay, so we'll move on to the Central Powers.
Ideme k tým centrálnym mociam.
Now, the difficulty is when you study
To
history,
ťažké je, keď študujeme dejiny,
is within a few short steps,
je, že v
you'll get
rámci
too much information.
V
You'll get
rámci-
an overload of information.
pár krátkych krokov máme strašne veľa informácií, až príliš veľa.
And the skill or the art
A tá zručnosť alebo umenie
is in deciphering what all of this information means, what is relevant and what is not relevant.
je vedieť vytriebiť, že ktoré informácie z toho sú dôležité a ktoré
And
nie.
it's not my purpose
Nie je to môjim zámerom,
to go into this study and, in English they say, reinvent the wheel.
aby som
Does it make sense?
išiel cez celú tú štúdiu a znova
I'm not
vynachádzal to,
trying
čo už je
to
vynajdené.
discover some new great thing.
Nesnažím sa objaviť niečo nové.
This is just a commentary on Elder Tess's presentation,
Toto je len komentár na prezentáciu staršej Tess,
so we can perhaps have a bit more clarity on what she has been trying to teach us.
aby nám bolo jasnejšie, čo sa nás snaží naučiť.
And there are some details
Sú
that
nejaké
she may not
detaily,
have highlighted
ktoré možno ona nezdôraznila,
that could be like, I'll give a phrase, it's called icing on the cake. It'd be just some like additional points.
Je to len ako taká poleva na koláč, je to taký
Perhaps
prídavok, ďalšia
This
informácia.
energy issue could be something like that.
Ako napríklad táto otázka tej energie, to je zaujímavý detail.
Perhaps there's something in the investigation of these countries that could open up a small gem of truth.
Určite také malé kúsky pravdy nám môžu otvoriť, keď budeme študovať o týchto krajinách.
We've seen that the treaty is in two parts.
Vidíme, že tá dohoda má dve časti.
So without trying to make an application that's obvious,
Bez toho, aby sme robili aplikáciu, ktorá je zrejmá,
sorry, let me rephrase that. Without trying to make an application that's not obvious,
respektíve bez toho, aby sme robili aplikáciu, ktorá nie je zrejmá,
it suffice to just list out the details. That's
je
what I
dobre
wanted
sa
to do.
pozrieť na niektoré
I
detaily
just wanted to give out the history of it.
a pozrieť sa na dejiny.
And there's something stands out, obvious that this really makes, this really could be significant.
Dokiaľ nám niečo nevystupí z toho, čo je také významné a čo vidíme, že je zrejme.
I think this one could, the energy,
Myslím si, že táto energia,
because down here, what did we have?
tu dolu, čo máme?
Yes, we had Syria,
Sýriu,
which I guess you could see it as a code word for the Middle East,
to je ako také kódové slovo pre Stredný východ.
which is all about energy.
To je celé o energii.
So there may be a strong correlation there.
Tu môže byť silné
Central
prepojenie.
powers.
Tie centrálne moci.
Sister Catherine,
Katrin,
what did you find about the central powers?
čo si zistila?
A little confused, but what I think is what I'm going to say first.
Speak a little bit louder.
So Germany France,
Es ist Deutschland, Frankreich,
Germany, France,
Nemecko, Francúzsko,
US,
Spojené štáty,
US, like
USA,
United States.
Yeah.
Vereinigte Staaten,
Britain,
Británia,
Vereinigtes Königreich,
Italy,
Taliansko,
and it says Belgium.
Again,
IUM, UIM,
a to je čo?
IUM,
IUM. And what's your source?
Belgicko.
Wikipedia.
To mám tiež z Wikipédie.
So these are the central powers, or are these just all the people that are involved in that history?
Sú to tu toto sú centrálne moci, alebo toto sú všetci tí, čo v tých dejinách mali nejakú rolu?
That history meaning First World War.
Myslím v dejinách prvej svetovej vojny.
Working together.
sie alle haben
Oni sú spolu,
So these are all working together
spolupracujú.
Allied.
against whom?
Proti komu?
Russia and Hungarian and Austria-Hungary.
Proti Rusku a Rakúsko-Uhorsku.
They're going against Russia,
Takže oni spoločne idú proti Rusku
Hungary, you say?
Austria-Hungary.
a Rakúsko-Uhorsku.
Is that right? They're together?
Takže títo sú spojení.
It's them against them? Sorry? That's fine. So, this whole warfare is not that simplistic to decipher.
Celý tento boj nie je taký jednoduchý ho popísať alebo rozobrať.
It's called a world war because so many people are involved.
Je to svetová vojna, pretože toľko ľudí je v tom zahrnutých.
And the other problem is
Ďalší problém je,
everyone's making deals with everybody.
že každý robí s niekým dohody a každý s každým.
You make a deal with someone and you double cross them the next day. Double cross?
S niekým urobíme dohodu, na ďalší deň ich obideme
Stab them in the back.
a poza ich chrbát niečo spravíme.
So there's visible deals in the public
Takže sú viditeľné dohody verejné
and there's private secret deals.
a potom rôzne súkromné dohody.
Now the thing is at the time,
V tom čase
those things that were private are now public.
tie veci, ktoré boli vtedy súkromné, sú teraz verejné.
So now we have records of all of those private arrangements.
Takže teraz máme záznamy zo všetkých týchto súkromných dohôd.
And the thing is, when you read Wikipedia,
A problém je, že keď čítame Wikipédiu,
because it's so comprehensive,
pretože je to také...
it gives you all the information. And
dáva nám
sometimes the things
toto
that were the
všetky
private
informácie
deals
a niekedy
is not so easy to see now.
to, čo
So when I say
boli,
private, it means secret. Nobody even knows.
to, čo boli tajné dohody, nie je také ľahké
we know.
vidieť. My vieme,
Wikipedia puts it down,
že Wikipedia to tam dá
and then it can become quite confusing.
a môže to už byť metúce, je to veľa.
So, sorry?
Swap Russia and Germany.
So, what should I put on this side?
Čo
Russia.
mám dať na túto stranu
And what should I put on this
a
side?
na túto? Rusko a Nemecko.
You feel more comfortable now?
And the Central Powers are Germany and Austria.
Also jetzt ist die linke Seite sind die Alliierten, die rechte Seite sind die Mittelmächte.
Feel better? Good. Brother Jim?
Just say that's all correct, but I would add on to the Central Powers, Bulgaria and Ottoman Empire.
Zu den Mittelmächten
Ja by som ešte k tým centrálnym.
das Osmanische Reich und
GARIA.
Bulgarien.
To ja by som tam ešte pridal Bulharsko.
No, BULGAR.
Okay, I thought it was an R there. Yeah.
And Ottoman Empire.
Osmanskú
So,
ríšu.
remember here,
Erinnert euch das hier?
we had Turkey. Do you remember that?
Hier die
Tu
Türkei.
sme mali
And
Turecko.
Turkey was code word for
To
Ottoman.
bola vlastne Osmanská ríša, sme to tak zakodovali.
So we'll put Ottoman
Dám som Osmanskú
Wir
ríšu
schreiben Osmanisches Reich hin.
and we'll put Turkey.
a Turecko.
Türkei.
Did you come across those in your research?
To si našiel, keď si pozeral?
Haben wir auch gelesen.
So Germany, Austria-Hungary is kind of like one country then, but it's not one country now.
Damals
Nemecko,
war
Rakúsko, Uhorsko. Vtedy to bola jedna krajina, teraz už nie.
Ungarn, damals war Österreich-Ungarn quasi ein Land, heute ist es nicht mehr so.
Bulgaria and Turkey.
Bulharsko, Turecko.
Waren auch noch Bulgarien und die Türkei.
Anything else?
Sonst noch was?
Did you look at this or you didn't?
As far as, I think that's correct.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Is that from memory or?
Hast du
Just from memory. I
hast du
don't
das
know.
auch so
Myslím, že takto je to správne. Podľa toho, čo si pamätám.
So the homework was this one. It wasn't this.
Takže
So
domáca úloha bola toto.
I'm not overly worried about that.
Aufgabe war ja die rechte Seite.
Sister Sue Ellen,
Suelen,
Yes.
anything to add, say, take away?
ešte máš niečo k tomu
Clarify.
pridať, zobrať?
Was zu verdeutlichen, was
Well, I was just looking at the treaty, and it was between at the
Which treaty are you referring to? Sorry.
Brest,
Okay, Brest-Litovsk.
Litovsk,
Pozerala som sa na tú dohodu Brest-Litovsk.
and it mentioned it was with the Central Powers and Bolshevik Russia.
und dort hieß es, dass
Čo
es
bola medzi bolševickým Ruskom a tými centrálnymi mocami.
sozialistischen Russland
So
geschossen.
that's an important point to make
To je dosť dôležité povedať,
because this Russia,
lebo toto Rusko,
Dieses Russland hier
this was the Allied,
ktoré bolo ako
was which one?
war welches?
s tými
Well, I'm
spojencami,
just wondering. I was going to
Alebo
ask, but
proti
I'm just
spojencom.
wondering, was it the Tsarist Russia?
myslím si, že to bolo cárske Rusko.
Is that Tsar?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Tsarist Russia.
To bolo cárske Rusko.
So what we did
To,
was
čo my sme spravili,
we went back
je, že sme sa vrátili
from 1918
z 1918.
a little bit, I
Trošku,
think a year or so,
možno rok dozadu,
to add in the context
aby sme pridali ten kontext.
because 1918
1918
is not this Russia,
je cárske Rusko.
the Bolshevik Russia, it's the Lenin Russia.
Pardon. 1918 je Leninové Rusko,
And they don't want
bolševické.
war.
Oni nechcú bojovať.
They don't want war.
Oni nechcú vojnu.
For whatever reason, they don't want it. We haven't studied why they don't want
Z
it.
akéhokoľvek dôvodu, to sme neštudovali prečo, ale nechcú bojovať.
They want peace,
Chcú pokoj a mier.
and peace comes at a price.
A ten prišiel za určitú cenu.
We use the word bully.
Použili sme to slovo toho tyrana, alebo násilníka.
So, we've just added Tsarist Russia here in this. If they're going to be, we're thinking the protagonists, the fighters.
Takže sme sem pridali, že to je cárske Rusko. Ono bolo to, to, ktoré chcelo bojovať vo vojne.
But the treaty here,
Ale tá dohoda tu,
this one,
toto tu,
what Russia is this one?
toto je aké Rusko?
Good. So this is Lenin or the Bolsheviks.
To je Lenin alebo bolševici.
And I want us to remember the story of the train,
Chcem, aby sme pamätali na ten príbeh toho vlaku,
what it means to have a sealed
čo
train.
to znamená, že vlak je zapečatený.
Sealed as in like a padlock or a...
Zatvorený vlak.
If it's sealed,
Ak je zapečatený,
who doesn't know the contents?
kto nepozná ten obsah?
Which country does not know the contents?
Ktorá krajina nepozná obsah?
In theory.
Teoreticky.
Germany.
Nemecko.
Germany says, we don't know what's in the contents. It was sealed. Where was it sealed, Sister Catherine?
Nemecko hovorí, my nevieme, čo tam je, bolo to zapečatené. Kde to bolo zapečatené, sestra Katrin?
Switzerland.
Vo Švajčiarsku.
It was sealed in Switzerland,
Bolo to zapečatené vo Švajčiarsku,
open in Russia,
otvorené v Rusku.
goes through Germany,
Ide cez Nemecko
and Germany says nothing to do with us.
a Nemecko povie, s nami to nič
Don't
nemá.
worry. Oh. Sorry about that. Throw my pen. Okay, so that was just part of the story. So we clarified that this was
To bolo
Tsarist
súčasťou toho
Russia.
príbehu, to sme vyjasnili, že to bol cár.
Sister Kathy,
Katy,
this side first.
najprv táto strana,
So that's the homework.
to je domáca.
Anything to add here?
Ešte niečo, čo sa sem môže pridať?
Countries or detail or any point that you want us to see?
Nejaké detaily alebo niečo, čo chceš, aby sme videli?
In regard to the treaty,
Myslíš ohľadne tej dohody?
First go with the nations.
Najprv tie národy.
Is that comprehensive? 4 powers we have.
yeah.
Yes? Okay, so anything you want to add with respect to the treaty itself that you said?
Ešte niečo sa chceš
Anything.
pridať ohľadne tej dohody?
The other thing about along with the energy that was part of the treaty, also included farmland.
Nicht nur die Energie, sondern auch
To ďalšia vec ešte k tej energii, ktorá bola súčasťou tej dohody.
And at the time, Russia was going through a famine.
Vtedy Rusko prechádzalo hladomorom.
And there was a very large penalty, I guess.
A bola veľká
300 million golden rubles.
taká nejaká pokuta, ako keby.
I just see it
300 miliónov
stressing
rublov.
the already weakened nation, which is why the Bolsheviks wanted to sign the treaty because they wanted to do the revolution.
Krajina už bola veľmi oslabená a preto bolševici chceli vlastne spraviť revolúciu.
So you've added 2 parts, farmland and a
Farmland
ransom,
and yes,
these
and
rubles, or a
the-
penalty.
some kind of fee.
What
Na nich bola uvalená nejaká taká pokuta, museli čosi
when you say
zaplatiť.
farmland,
A ešte si hovorila o zemi
you mean that these 3
poľnohospodárskej.
countries are like the breadbasket of Russia? Is that what you mean?
I don't know that it was called the.
Čo ty myslíš, že tieto 3 krajiny boli čo?
It was 20% of their farmland, and I haven't researched out how much of Russia is farmland to know what 27% of farmland would be.
V týchto krajinách bolo 27% vlastne tej úrodnej zeme Ruska.
So what I was seeing was the weakness of Russia fighting a war,
Slabosť toho Ruska bojujúc vo vojne.
the Bolsheviks wanted out of the war
Bolševici nechceli už vojnu,
to do the revolution,
aby mohli spraviť revolúciu.
and then on top of that they were penalized. Well, they lost part of their land,
A ešte k tomu všetkému bola na nich uvalená vlastne,
Which helped the Bolsheviks.
boli im dané penalty, stratili časť svojej
to do
zeme.
the revolution.
Losing the land doesn't help the Bolsheviks do the revolution. It's just the price they pay for that.
It does, but it creates a revolution.
Oni zaplatili tú cenu tým, že stratili tú zem, zaplatili tú cenu za to, aby mohli
It was one more painful thing
spraviť
on the
revolúciu.
poor people to want to go with the Bolsheviks,
Aber es war
like a
noch
cause and
ein-
effect.
ein Schmerz, der die
Nerozumiem.
Leute dazu brachte, dass sie mit den Bolschewisten gehen wollten.
Okay. You said one more?
Nein, ein anderer. Also Parminder hatte noch gesagt, es war nicht, sich das Land zu verlieren, hat nicht den Bolschewisten geholfen, sondern war eher der Preis, den sie gezahlt haben.
Serbia.
Srbsko, ešte tu bolo.
Hier fügen wir noch Serbien hinzu.
That was the homework.
To bola domáca.
So hopefully you have a clearer understanding of the countries that are involved when we talk about the First World War.
Dúfam, že máme jasnejšie porozumenie toho, ktoré krajiny boli v tom vlastne zahrnuté, keď hovoríme o prvej svetovej vojne.
Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's dangerous to simplify.
Niekedy je to užitočné, niekedy je nebezpečné veci zjednodušiť.
So it's helpful to just talk about Germany and Lenin,
Takže je také nápomocné hovoriť len o Nemecku,
but
Leninovi.
then I guess it becomes dangerous because he wasn't a captive in Germany, it was living in Switzerland of free will.
Ale je to nebezpečné z toho pohľadu povedať, že on nebol zajatec v Nemecku, on žil slobodne.
German authorities or anything when he was in Switzerland, he just
Also er wurde nicht von den deutschen Autoritäten in der Schweiz festgehalten.
I'm reticent to state that in a categorical way.
Trošku sa zdráham tak kategoricky povedať toto, ale
No,
nepočula
I
som.
don't think he was.
Nemyslím si, že bol zajatec.
Lenin, we're talking about Lenin.
Lenin.
Okay, well, I just was looking some more to see, and this is from Britannica,
Pozerala som na
treaty-
Britanike.
treaties.
Tie
And they
dohody.
have plural of Brest, Litovsk,
A táto dohoda Brest-Litovsk.
Plural von Brest-Litovsk.
and it says that they concluded the hostilities between those countries during World War I. It says peace negotiations, which the Soviet government had requested on November the 8th, 1917, began on December the 22nd.
Also die Verhandlungen.
Čiže oni urobili nejaké také mierové,
Russia?
začali
Russia.
robiť vyjednávanie 8. novembra
What
1917.
were the dates?
November the 8th, 1917.
1917, 8.
And then
novembra.
December the 22nd.
A vlastne vošli v
Is when they
platnosť
begin the
When they
22.
began them,
decembra.
and then I guess it
Dann die Verhandlungen an.
took that period of time to set up the meetings and
Čiže trvalo to
They met
vlastne
with-
túto dobu, spraviť tie stretnutia a tak.
so then they did it with the Ukrainian Republic in February
S Ukrajinou sa vysporiadali vo februári
and then Soviet Russia on March 3rd.
a sovietským Ruskom 3. marca.
So it was a process,
Bol to
and I
proces
think it was kind of interesting that the request came on November 8th.
a sa mi to zdalo zaujímavé, že vlastne tá požiadavka prišla 8. novembra.
Anfrage am 8. November 1917 gestellt wird.
The request,
Takže tá požiadavka prišla v novembri
the beginning of negotiations, December.
Anfang
a začali vyjednávať v decembri
die Verhandlungen begannen dann im Dezember.
And then you go into February and
a
March.
potom tam máme ten február a marec.
Anything else?
Ešte niečo?
Kathy?
Katy?
Lenin was arrested in Russia and sent to Siberia.
Lenin bol v Rusku zatknutý a bol poslaný na Sibír
And then he was released after 3 years.
a potom po 3 rokoch bol
And that's when he went to
Prepustený.
Switzerland.
a išiel do Švajčiarska.
And he did a bit of travelling. He didn't just stay in Switzerland. He went to the UK, to other
Yeah.
places.
On tak viac cestoval, on bol aj v Anglicku.
Okay, so if there's no more questions,
Ak už nie sú otázky,
we did that study
toto sme študovali,
because Sister Shemaine asked
lebo Šimen sa pýtala
about two streams of information,
o dvoch zdrojoch informácií,
but she didn't frame it that way.
ale ona to takto nepomenovala.
She framed it in the context of the message and an alternative message.
Pomenovala to v kontexte posolstva a alternatívneho posolstva.
Then from that study we launched into this one,
A z toho štúdia sme prešli do tohto,
where we compared the Spanish flu
kde sme,
with the COVID-19.
kde sme porovnávali španielskú chrípku s tým COVID-19.
What's the connection?
Aké je tam prepojenie?
Two streams,
Dva zdroje.
goes down to what?
Idú k čomu?
Two messages.
K dvom posolstvám.
We have the warning
Tam je varovanie.
and we have the, you said? So we have two streams,
Máme dva zdroje,
two messages.
dve posolstva.
The two messages
Dve posolstva
are the warning and the alternative.
sú varovaním a alternatívou.
I gave the example of Noah,
Dal som príklad toho Noacha
and then we went on to this study.
a ešte sme potom k tomuto štúdiu.
Sister Sarah, what's the connection between all of this and two streams, two messages, the warning, the alternative?
Sára, aké je prepojenie medzi týmto všetkým? Dva zdroje, dve alternatívy, dve posolstva.
Make the link.
Nie dve alternatívy, ale posolstvo a alternatíva.
Okay,
Aké je tam prepojenie?
I was afraid of that.
To,
Not just you, I mean generally.
toho som sa bál, že my to prepojenie vlastne nevidíme.
Take one step back.
Skúsime sa vrátiť.
Noah,
Noa,
just briefly.
len tak
Just
v
you don't even have to do
krátkosti.
the whole thing, but just give us the symbols that talk about the warning and the alternative.
Povedz nám tie symboly toho varovania a alternatívy. Čiže
So it's rain.
Noa hovorí, že bude pršať.
So the symbol of that story, the two messages, is rain.
Takže symbol týchto posolstiev alebo príbehu je dážď.
Okay, so in our
V
story,
našom príbehu
this one,
toto
it's not rain.
nie je dážď.
It's what is Sister Catherine?
Čo je to, Katrin?
War?
Not war.
Nie je vojna.
Virus.
Sorry?
Virus.
Virus.
Vírus.
So there's two messages.
Takže sú dve posolstva.
Both messages say what?
A obe hovoria čo?
There is a virus.
Obe posolstva hovoria, že je vírus.
Sister Sarah,
Sara,
is it the same virus?
je to ten istý vírus?
We all okay with that?
Áno.
Story of Noah.
Príbeh Noacha,
Is it the same rain?
je to ten istý dážď?
Yes.
Áno.
So it's the same virus.
Takže je to ten istý vírus.
So when we have these two messages, these two streams,
Keď máme tieto dve posolstva, tieto dva zdroje,
the subject is the virus.
tá téma je vírus.
And so now what we want to do
A to, čo chceme urobiť,
is we want to look at the virus
je pozrieť sa na vírus
and we want to say what? We want to make a commentary about the virus.
a chceme čo povedať, ako to chceme okomentovať.
Just like we did with the rain.
Tak ako sme to spravili aj s tým dažďom.
It's not going to be any rain.
Nebude nejaký
It
dážď,
comes now.
ale Prichádza.
So the warning
To
when it's
varovanie,
rain
že bude pršať,
is what?
je čo?
No, not just it's going to rain.
Nie len to, že bude pršať.
What's the context or the message of the rain?
Aký je kontext posolstva toho dažďu?
What's the
Dažďa.
rain showing you or doing for you?
Čo ten dážď nám ukazuje, alebo čo robí?
Okay?
Also was macht der Regen für dich? Was zeigt der Regen auf?
Ruin you. It's gonna
Who's going to ruin
destroy
you?
you. The
Čo vás
rain,
ničí?
the flood.
Who?
Kto?
Wer wird dich zerstören?
God.
Boh.
So the rain, this warning, is God.
Takže toto varovanie je Boh.
Judgment.
Súd od Boha.
The alternative
Tá alternatíva je
is rain.
toho dažďa.
What's that story? What's that explanation?
Aké je to vysvetlenie?
I'll use the word explanation. I should make it easier then.
Použijem to slovo
The warning, the
vysvetlenie.
explanation of the rain is
To varovanie, vysvetlenie dažďa je čo?
judgment.
Je súd.
Alternative,
Alternatíva,
rain, explanation is
vysvetlenie dažďa je čo?
relax.
Nebojte sa, nič sa nedeje.
Oh, no, it's raining now. It's
Ale
raining.
už prší,
It's here.
už je to tu.
The story was in two parts.
Ten príbeh mal dve časti.
Now we're at the rain stage.
Už sme v tom čase, kedy začalo pršať.
It's raining.
Prší,
Explanation,
vysvetlenie,
these things happen.
toto sa deje.
Just the weather,
Je tam počasie.
time and chance,
To je náhoda.
coincidence,
To je zhoda náhod.
science.
Veda,
This alternative
táto alternatíva
is a basket or a collection of different answers,
je také
explanations.
zhromaždenie viacerých odpovedí. Rôznych.
Okay, so we'll do it this way.
Spravíme to takto.
The warning is God.
Varovanie je od Boha.
The alternative is
Alternatíva je,
nature.
že to je príroda.
I'm going to put natural.
To sú prírodzené veci.
A natural explanation
Prírodzené vysvetlenie
or a
alebo
God
vysvetlenie
explanation.
prírody a vysvetlenie, aké dáva Boh.
Now this is a bit tricky
Toto je také trošku záľudné,
because that rain was natural,
pretože ten dážď bol
naturalistic.
prírodný. On bol z prírody.
So now this becomes, when we bring down to the virus,
A keď to prinesieme k tomu víru,
now it becomes problematic
toto je problematické,
because we do not want to align ourselves with whom?
pretože my sa nechceme spojiť s kým? Alebo dať sa na jednu stranu.
Let me step back.
Vrátim sa.
Where are you in this?
Kde my sme?
Which side are you on?
Na ktorej strane v tomto obraze?
Good, you're on this
Na
side.
tejto.
But we don't want to align ourselves with whom?
Ale nechceme sa postaviť na koho stranu, alebo spojiť sa s kým?
We'll go with Satan, but
Áno, so
On earth.
Satanom, ale na tejto zemi.
not. Sorry? Evangelical Christianity
Evangelikálnym kresťanstvom,
says this
ktoré hovorí, že toto
is the judgment from God.
sú Božie súdy.
So we want to be careful we don't go down that
Čiže
route.
musíme byť opatrní, aby sme nešli touto cestou.
These are natural circumstances.
Toto sú prírodzené okolnosti.
So we need to always be grounded in that.
V tomto musíme byť ukotvení,
But we want to say
ale chceme povedať,
the virus
že vírus
is a warning
je varovanie
of what?
čoho?
That the end is coming.
Že prichádza koniec.
We could call it a harbinger.
Je to predzvesť.
I think we're going to increasingly see it as a catalyst
Budeme to čím ďalej vidieť, že je to katalizátor,
that will lead us step by step to the end.
ktorý krok po kroku nás dovedie ku koncu.
The alternative message is what?
Alternatívne posolstvo je čo?
There's been viruses before.
Už aj predtým boli vírusy.
Get over it.
Prekonáme
Status
to.
quo. We,
To je status quo.
we live with what already?
S čím sme to spojili?
The flu.
S chrípkou.
This is COVID-19's cousin.
To je len sesternica chrípky.
Status quo.
Status quo.
There are more deaths from the flu than there are of COVID-19. There's all these arguments.
Všetky tieto argumenty, že viac ľudí zomiera na chrípku ako na COVID-19,
Suddenly it becomes a different dynamic.
to má inú dynamiku.
It goes from status quo,
Ideme od status quo,
lots of disease,
mnoho chorôb,
to a real message
skutočnému posolstvu,
that we need to fix this problem.
že musíme s týmto problémom niečo urobiť
Will it get fixed?
a keď bude vyriešený,
Yes or no?
bude
Will it get
vyriešený
fixed?
tento problém?
You don't know?
Nevieš?
Yes.
Áno,
I know you had a question, but
viem, že máš
will it get
otázku.
fixed?
Bude vyriešený ten problém? Ty hovoríš áno?
Yes. Yes. Within 12 months, they'll have a vaccine.
Áno, do 12 mesiacov bude vakcína.
Within a few months, they'll already begin trials of the vaccine.
V rámci pár mesiacov už začali prvé
Then there's
pokusy
herd immunity,
a bude skupinová
which was
imunita.
spoken about with respect to vaccinations in the past. Older Tess has done that.
O tom sme už hovorili v minulosti so sestrou Tess.
We may or may not learn our lesson,
Možno sme sa naučili, možno nenaučili túto lekciu.
we the world.
My ako svet.
It may change the way we operate,
Môže to zmeniť spôsob, ako fungujeme.
but we'll get over this,
Ale prekonáme to,
however painful it is.
aj keď to bude bolestivé.
And at the end,
A na konci
what will we be?
budeme čo?
Better or worse?
Budeme na tom horšie alebo lepšie?
Better.
Lepšie.
We'll be stronger for this.
Budeme silnejší, budeme
So that's
odolnejší.
the alternative message of the
To je
virus.
alternatívne posolstvo toho vírusu.
But we see
Ale my vidíme,
this is a harbinger,
že toto je predzvesť, toto je prvý
a
krok.
forewarning of what's to
Je
come.
to varovanie toho, čo má prísť.
And I don't mean in the sense that there's going to be a bigger pandemic. There may or may not be, but I don't mean it in that sense.
Nemyslím to s takým spôsobom, že bude väčšia pandémia. Môže byť, nemusí byť.
Depending on how you count,
Závisí na tom, ako počítate.
we could say this would be the second or the third harbinger.
Mohli by ste povedať, že toto je druhá alebo tretia tá predzvesť.
Maybe third or fourth.
Alebo aj štvrtá.
Third or fourth. First,
Prvá,
Berlin Wall.
Berlínsky múr.
We use that as a symbol or a code.
To je symbol pre
Second,
potom to druhé,
9/11.
9.11.
So now we have third or fourth. We'll go with option 4.
Povieme,
Third.
že je to štvrtá možnosť ten COVID, takže tretie je čo?
2016.
2016.
President Donald Trump,
Donald Trump, zvolený.
harbinger of what's about to come.
To je predzvesť toho, čo príde.
And now,
A teraz
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Now, I said 2016.
Ja som povedal 2016.
Could have equally said,
Uh,
go back 2 years,
môžem teoreticky
go
povedať,
forward 2 years.
vráťte sa 2 roky späť alebo 2 roky dopredu chodte.
14,
2014
18.
a 18.
But we went for 16 because that was the year.
Ale 2016 bol ten rok, v ktorom sa to udialo.
What have we just done?
Čo sme práve urobili?
1989,
89.
9/11.
9.11.
I called it 16, but we'll call it 14
Nazval
to
som to
18.
16, ale je to 14.
2019.
2019.
What are we tracking?
Čo my vlastne vidíme tu? Čo sledujeme?
We're tracking the waymark of our line.
To sú milníky našej línie.
There's only one left.
Už ostáva len jedna.
So every single waymark is a harbinger of what's about to come.
Každý jeden milník na našej línii je posol alebo predzvesť toho, čo príde.
So that's how we got from Sister Shemaine's question.
Takto sme prešli od jednej otázky.
She went at this level.
Ona išla sem.
2 messages.
2 posolstva.
Took her back that it was 2 streams.
2 zdroje.
Explained 2 messages.
Vysvetlila 2 posolstva.
A judgment answer of rain and a naturalistic answer of rain.
Taký súd, alebo vysvetlenie toho dážďa, že je to súd, a vysvetlenie, že je to prirodzená vec.
Rain.
Dážď.
Then we did one on the virus.
Potom sme spravili to isté ohľadne víru.
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
It's a natural thing that we get viruses.
To je normálne, že máme vírusy. To je prirodzené.
Even though they can't fully explain it, have a good idea of how this happened.
Aj keď sa to nevie úplne vysvetliť, majú približný názor na to, ako sa to stalo.
Cross-species mutation.
Mutácia medzi druhmi.
Not getting into the moral arguments of how that happened or how it could be prevented.
Teraz nepozeráme na tie morálne argumenty, že ako sa to stalo, alebo ako sa dalo tomu zabrániť.
When you put God and virus together,
keď spojíme Boha a vírus,
it becomes a toxic combination.
Začne to byť toxická kombinácia.
And we have to be very careful how we conceptualize it ourselves and how we talk about it to others.
Musíme byť veľmi opatrní, aké koncepcie o tom vezmeme sami a ako o tom hovoríme s ľuďmi.
This is not punishment from God upon human beings.
Toto nie je trest od Boha na ľudí.
But this naturalistic phenomena
Ale tento prirodzený fenomén,
that was created because of human beings doing wrong things,
ktorý sa utvoril, alebo bol vytvorený kvôli tomu, že ľudia robili nejaké nesprávne veci,
as a warning that the end is coming.
slúži ako varovanie toho, že prichádza koniec.
We call it a harbinger.
Je to poshol alebo predzvesť.
Say that all those messages on the alternative side, that reminded me of the peace and safety messages.
Tieto posolstva na tej alternatívnej strane mi pripomínajú posolstvo o pokoji.
Yes. When we say peace and
Keď my
safety,
povieme posolstvo o pokoji,
we tend to make it sound evil.
znie nám to tak,
There's this great warning and there's these
zle.
people who just say peace and safety.
že
Look how wicked
je
they are.
veľké varovanie a ľudia hovoria pokoj, pokoj, veď to je zlé tak to robiť.
But the difficulty that we can find ourselves in,
Ale
and we
tá
do,
ťažkosť, v ktorej sa nachádzame, alebo zložitosť,
is how was this virus caused?
je, ako bol spôsobený tento vírus.
Was it supernatural?
Bolo to nadprirodzené?
That God's punishing people for eating bad animal or wrong animals or something?
Trestá Boh ľudí za to, že jedia zle, nesprávne
No,
zvieratá?
it has completely naturalistic answers or explanations.
Alebo má prírodzené vysvetlenie?
Sounds pretty peace and safety to me.
To mi znie
Until
také
you realize
posolstvo o
its
pokoji.
placement in history.
Keď si uvedomíme, aké to má
To create this,
umiestnenie v dejinách,
this has to be an historical event
na to, aby sme mali toto, musí to byť historická
that is
udalosť,
special.
ktorá je zvláštna.
Therefore, rises to the status of a prophetic waymark
A to povstáva na štatút
that's
milníku
explainable.
prorockého, ktorý sa dá vysvetliť.
So hopefully we it'll be fixed in our minds of why we went to this study.
Dúfam, že si zapamätáme, prečo
And then,
sme
of course, we
šli
spoke
do tejto
about
štúdie.
some details, which I think
A hovorili sme o niektorých
hopefully
detailoch.
were useful for people.
Dúfam, že vám to bolo užitočné.
But it was to show us what this virus means to us, how we should view it.
Chce nám to ukázať, ako sa máme pozerať na ten vírus.
It becomes the fourth harbinger for the priests.
Je to už štvrtá predzväz alebo štvrtý posol pre kňazov.
And if we can see it from that
Ak
perspective,
sa na to môžeme takto pozrieť
and we're mature enough,
a sme dosť zreli na to,
you can see that it becomes one of the plagues in the time of Jacob's time of trouble for the line of the priests.
vidíme, že sa to stáva jednou z rán v čase Jakobovho súženia pre kňazov.
And that needs some explanation as well,
A tomu tiež treba dať nejaké vysvetlenie.
which we don't have time for.
Na to ale nemáme čas.
Let's pray.
Poďme sa pomodliť.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you
Drahý nebeský Otče, ďakujeme Ti
for your goodness and mercy.
za Tvoju dobrotu a milosť.
We thank you for the great privilege of being able to be a priest.
Ďakujeme Ti za to veľké privilegium, že môžeme byť kňazmi.
You could have chosen anybody,
Mohol si vybrať, koho si chcel.
but you chose us.
Ty si vybral nás
And you have promised us
a zaslúbil si nám,
that you who began a good work in us
že Ty, ktorý si začal to dobré dielo v
will
nás,
see it unto the end.
dokončíš ho.
We are in Jacob's time of trouble.
My sme v čase Jakobovho súženia.
Some of us want to commit suicide.
Niektorí chcú spáchať sebevraždu.
Some of us wish we were never born.
Niektorí si prajú, že aby sa nenarodili.
Many of us realize our faults and our failures.
Mnohí si uvedomujeme naše zlyhania a chyby.
Help us, Lord, to be objective
Pane, pomôž nám, aby sme boli objektívni
and see that we can all pass through this experience,
a videli, že môžeme všetci prejsť touto skúsenosťou
through the valley of the shadow of death,
cez údolie tenu smrti
and we can pass through this experience to the other side.
aby sme prešli cez túto skúsenosť na druhú stranu.
It's your will that none of us fail.
Je to Tvoja voľa, aby nikto z nás v tomto nepadol.
In Jesus' name,
Mene Ježiša.
amen.
Amen.